fraction ones. I think they're even harder than the end of homework. Here we go. How did you rewrite the 1/5? Try. 5 what power though? Yeah. However, guys, you didn't forget that little x out there, right? Did you forget that little x, or did you leave them? Okay. However, we didn't just want to change the 1/5 because we also have a 125. Now, there's just a few people that have questions, so I'm here. What's going on? Why are we stuck? Oh, you're ready to go? Jerry, cool. So, power to a power. Do you guys agree with Jerry? Negative x power?
Yeah.
Yes.
This left side is good. He's golden. I need the right side to be broken down. Has anyone already broken down 125?
About 3.
What can I do now that my bases match?
Divide.
Technically not divide. I see what you're saying. But technically, once our bases match, remember like bases, don't we get to ignore them? So we have to rewrite first before we divide. So we rewrite, and what's the statement that we can say, guys? Negative x is equal to?
3.
Okay, so now let's use the division trick. But what are we dividing by?
Negative.
Negative. And it's not just technically negative, it's negative what? Yeah, it's technically negative 1. Final answer, x equals negative 3, which some of you might have skipped a couple of these steps. Maybe you did like a little bit of mental math. Or give me a quick thumbs up if you're like, I figured out negative 3. Let me see.
Oh, I figured that out.
Good. Okay. Those of you guys that didn't, it might have been that you got stuck in homework on these ones with the fractions. It's very possible, which is why I'm using it as our opener today. So now that we've seen an example all the way worked out, what do you think is the key to rewriting 1/4? Yeah, Hannah. Oh, go ahead.
If it was negative 1, would you usually add 1?
If it's a minus. But since it's negative 1 times x, we have to somehow get rid of the negative with division or technically multiplication. We just want to make that negative over a negative or negative times a negative into a positive. Is that cool? So we can make that a positive and then we keep going. Kayla.
For the first one, where the 125
Isaiah, Trey, Andrew, Levi.
how did you get that?
Oh, I actually was kind of using what we did yesterday. Some people just remembered it. So I didn't actually do any work. But if I needed to, I would have broken down the 125 to figure out what power of 5 it is.
Oh, so you can't leave it this one?
No, sadly. Or if I do leave it 125, my bases don't match. So I have to somehow keep going to make it match. Yeah. So over here, I have the same dilemma. My bases don't match. 1/4 is not 256, but what can I make 1/4 into? 4 to the negative 1, and that's raised to the x, which some of you, Jerry, do you still have it? What would this become? Some of you are making that jump and saying 4 to the negative x. But the problem is, who do I have on the other side?
4.
Did you figure it out?
Yes.
4 goes in 64 times, 4 goes in
4 to the 3rd power.
20.
Oh, never mind.
No, that's another one. 1. 16 times. Sorry, I can't divide. Doing little baby divisions in my head. 4 goes into 64 16 times. 4 goes into 16 4 times. Well, that's nice. Because I can just say 4 to the 4th. Now my bases match. Right? When my bases match, I get to ignore them. And what's my next statement? Negative 1x equals 4. So if you were, some of you mental math, you already know x is equal to negative 4 is the final answer. But how do we technically get there? Divide by a negative 1. Good. So then we get 4 over negative 1 is a negative 1. I didn't show that reduced. Is that okay? We're going to go grade our homework. The beginning of homework is like the beginning of our opener yesterday, or beginning of class yesterday. The middle of homework is like these ones, and then the end of homework is like the end, the tricky examples we saw yesterday. Here we go. Show me you know our classroom procedures. You're in the back of your homework spiral right now. What should you be able to do to grade homework? I'm ready.
Check out your homework.
Just flip to the front of your homework spiral. If you're staying nice and organized, all you gotta do is flip to the front of the notebook and find homework number, was it 11? Number 11. Page 329, 10 through 20. And the only extra thing you should be getting out right now is a
10.
colored pen. Because you're grading your homework not for the purpose of showing me like, oh, I don't get it, but for the purpose of showing you, oh, I do get it, or I don't get it, so you can come ask me questions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Ask me questions in class, or ask me questions after school, or maybe both. Okay, so let's go ahead and go grade. There we go. Can you guys see number 10? Kind of on the side of the board. Sorry. All right, grade 10 through 20. Let me turn off the light so you can see a little better, I think, those two. Now be careful. This just gives you the final answer. There should have been steps. Even, you cannot check in the back of the book, so make sure. If something's wrong, just put a little slash through it and write the right answer, and you'll know that you need to ask a question on it. So number 10 is x equals 5. 12 is x equals negative 4. Oh, that's weird. 12 and 14 were the same answer. 16, x equals 1. 18, x equals negative 10. Now, number 20. Whoa! What's going on in number 20? Why is it so weird and complicated? Yeah, 20 is a little bit weird. I might need to go look at that one in just a second altogether. But we'll figure it out. And then if you guys have not yet seen at the very bottom, number 38 and number 40. 38 was x equals 8. And number 40 was x equals 1. All right, kiddos. Were there any questions? I want to peek at number 20 actually first before I ask you if there were any questions. Let's look at number 20. Sorry, I'm trying to find my book. Did I see my algebra book in here? This is weird. See my calculus. That's all right. We'll steal one of the student editions. Okay, number 20. That was a really weird answer, so I want to make sure you guys are okay on number 20. What page was this? 329? Here we go. Okay. What was going on in number 20 that made them do such a weird answer in the book? Oh, you were supposed to be finding the mistake, right? So the way they showed it, I don't know about you guys, I thought it was way more complicated than it had to be. So let's just look at it real quick in the book, written a nice way, because up there it was gross. Where was the mistake?
It was,
let's look at 20 first. That was the one that people were just grading.
It was the thing, the 2/5 x plus 8.
This one?
No,
No, you're not done. It's just, I think that was okay. Did anybody actually check it, though? Did you check breaking down number 32?
Oh, wait, okay.
I think so.
2 negative 3.
I'm just checking just because you brought it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that was good. Yeah, that was good. But this one, yeah. For 1/8 to become 2. Now, is 8 2 cubed? Yeah. 8 does break down to 2 times 2 times 2. But the problem is the 1 over shouldn't have been a positive 3. 2 to the power of positive 3 would be positive 8. I need, well, it is a positive number, but it's 1 over. I need this to become, instead of 2 cubed, sadly that kind of messes everything up a bit. We would need to go instead to be 2 to the negative 3. Now the nice thing is that on this other side, this was actually totally fine. 32 is 2 to the 5th. A little bit noisy. When we come over here, this was good. And actually, guys, did they do good distribution with the 5? Do you guys agree with that? Yeah, so I actually like this side. This side was totally great and all. The only problem was over here they messed up. So this should have been 2 to the negative 3, which have made, okay, maybe I don't have to rewrite the whole thing. Maybe I could just make this a negative number, which would make that a negative 15, which would make that a negative 15x.
Whoa.
So that only changes this last step, really. So what's going to happen if I have a negative 15x and I go to, wait, hold on, they're not showing all their steps.
Negative 10.
careful though. Wouldn't I have to subtract 5?
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so if I subtract 5x, then I have negative with another negative. Negative 20x equals 40. And then there's that division I have to do, but not by negative 1 this time. By negative 20 instead. That's why x should have finished with a negative 2. One little baby mistake threw the whole thing off. One little baby mistake threw the whole thing off. So guys, what did you figure out was the mistake over here in number 19? It's a little bit easier, and yet they're not showing a lot of work, so it's kind of weird looking. Alexis, what did you find?
They didn't get like these.
Oh, good. They just said ignore, but they couldn't ignore because the 25 was not a 5. So instead, hold on, they should have made 25 into what? Yeah, they should have made 25 into 5 squared, and then they still would have needed that x minus 8. Oh, this one's like more messed up than that one is. Because then what would you have to do with the x minus 8 to get rid of that base? What would you have to do? Distribute. So that would become 2x minus
16.
2x minus 16. And then, okay, yeah, that whole thing's off, right? So you'd have to go ahead and solve with a minus 2x and a minus 2x. We would have gotten the 1x, right? Plus 2 equals negative 16. Subtract the 2. Did you guys end up with x equals negative 18? Oh, Jeremy did. Did anybody else? No one else got that? Oh, okay, cool.
I do too.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew, guys. Okay.
I didn't get that.
You didn't get negative 18? Did you find a mistake though?
Well, I didn't.
No.
Okay.
I got negative 40.
Stop touching me, Sean.
Wait, did I?
Guys, just
Oh no, I was.
Jerry or Siggy? Oh, you did get that? You're okay?
Mm-hmm.
These ones, I like these ones because it's like, I don't know, it's mostly solved, but there's one little mistake. And what does it tell you? On a test, could you have the majority of the idea right and make one little mistake and make it all wrong?
Yeah.
Which is why, when I go to grade your test, when I talked about that, so making it back towards the end of class today. When I grade your test, I don't just look at the answer. Now, do I start by looking at the answer? Yeah, because I want to know if you got to the right answer or not. But if I see that the answer is wrong, guess what I, as a teacher, have to go do?
Correct it.
Go find, well, yeah, I could just be like, you got it wrong, the right answer is this, and move on. But usually, I like to go look at the work and say, or ask myself, did they know what they were doing and just make a little mistake? Or were they totally confused and so they kind of messed the whole thing up? Do you see the difference? And this one, do you remember how I was like, this right-hand side was perfect. The 32 was 2 to the 5th, and they did distribute it. They did a lot of, whoever this pretend person is, they did a lot of good work. The only thing they messed up was this fraction thing, which we already said was kind of complicated. So if I was grading this problem, I would just take off. Now, on your test, your problems were worth 3 points each, on the front side anyway. On the back side, they were like tables and graphs, and so it was kind of like the table was worth 2 points, and the graph was worth 2 points. And it was more split up. Or in your exponential growth and decay, like the R was a point, and the A was a point, and the growth or decay was a point. So on the back side, it got a little more complicated. But on the front side, where there was like one answer with some work that should have been shown, I made them worth 3 points each. How much do you think I would have taken off for a problem like this with a mistake like that? What do you think? Yeah, like a point. Because I'm like, they did a lot of good work. I think they get the majority of the points, but I gotta take off something because it did mess the answer up. What about this one? What do you think I would have taken off? What's the problem about where the mistake was made? Do you see how it was made at the very, very beginning? And Alexis, you did a great job of telling me what went wrong. How did you explain the error? Do you remember?
Oh, they didn't have like these.
They didn't have like bases, so like they kind of had the idea wrong. Now I probably wouldn't have taken all 3 points off because they still, I think they did some good algebra of subtracting the x and subtracting the 2. They did some good algebra, but I think I would have taken the 2 points off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the concept was off, not just like a little negative sign, but the concept was off. This person knew to make the bases match and knew how to solve. They just kind of made a little mistake. Now, do you think it's important when learning math, not just to learn this stuff, to learn the material, to practice it on your own, and know if it's right or wrong,
Yes.
but also to correct it?
Yes, I do.
Why do I have you have colored pens out every time we grade?
You can see your corrections.
Okay, yeah. Now, in class, is it really just like I got 4 and it should have been 2?
No.
Well, we start there, right? Because when I put this up on the board, aren't you guys just looking at your answers and seeing if they're right or wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is there any work?
No.
So what is class time for? If you get one of these wrong, okay, it's good. It should have been a 5. But does that help you do well on the quiz this Friday?
Nope.
Does that help you do good on a test when it comes? No. So why did I, first things first, why did I go find number 20 and number 19 in the book? Because those steps are already here. We just had to find the mistake. But now what do we need to do for every single problem you got wrong? Kind of. The same thing. Find the mistake, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now sometimes, do you think you can find your own mistake?
Yes.
Sometimes. But sometimes, could it be helpful to have someone else help you find a mistake? So, here's what I want us to do. I'm going to go ahead and, kind of like I did last time, or usually actually every time we have a worksheet, I'm going to pass out tonight's worksheet homework. Okay? Now, hold on. The office was trying to be really helpful, and they actually ended up making a mistake. So, how many sides are your worksheets normally?
One.
Just one? Here's the sad thing. Now, the nice thing is, it's the exact same thing. So here's the dealio. You don't have to do both sides. Please don't do both sides because you'll do the same homework twice. So when you, I mean, you can, but it's the same homework. Like, well, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing. No. Okay, I'll tell you what you can do for extra credit because it has to do with your test, but not this. Okay. When you get your worksheet, I just need you guys now. Okay, that's weird. That's not two sides. Oh, that must have been my original. Hold on to that one. The rest of them, though, I'm really sorry, they have 2 sides. When you get it, teachers, just with your pencil, just do one nice long line through one side to remind you it's only one side. If your parents see it and they're like, you didn't do your whole homework, you're like, no, it's only one. It's the same thing. So anyway, when you get your worksheet, I'm really sorry, that's kind of annoying. But just ignore one side. I didn't want to make them like copy off stuff all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you guys get it, put your name on it. This is tonight's homework. Sunny, you're passing me, you're back to Danny. Andrew Bosch, you're passing the other one's back to Andrew. Now help me out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Andy Swanson, you're coming back from Levi. Everett. Remember how I was saying a second ago that it's kind of important for us to find your mistakes? Because just grading right wrong doesn't help you on a test or a quiz. Some of you didn't, Isaiah and Edwards. Some of you didn't make very many mistakes in last night's homework.
All kinds.
So if you didn't make very many mistakes, just put a slash through one of the sides. It's okay. You can love not having to do one of the sides of the worksheet.
Yeah, I want to.
You have to do one, just not the other. But some of you didn't make very many mistakes, and so you can start early on homework, and that's totally fine. Some of you did make a few mistakes, or you have like 1 or 2 that you're like, I really don't know. I thought I got like all of homework right. I'm going to try to go over some homework questions right now. Some of you can be working on your worksheet, but remember, if you got some problems wrong in homework, just ask me. I'm going to write them down on the board so no one knows as far as like which one's which. And I'm just going to work through them step by step, helping you find your mistake, okay? So, are there any ones from homework that you got wrong that you would like me to go over? Remember, the quizzes come from the homework problems. Yeah. Number 40. What else do we have? Andy. 37, 38, 39? You don't like those ones? Okay. 18. Good. Any other questions? I would love to go over them. Remember, quiz problems come from homework problems. I'm going to go open the door to this one. It'll get some air, hopefully, coming in and turning on. Okay. You guys have crossed out one side of your worksheet. You are going to quietly be working on it if you don't have homework questions. But if you do, you can be paying attention. We're going to go over 18, 37, 38, 39, 40. And then, Joseph, did you have any other questions, Dad? If you have your phone, just leave it on your desk, and then you can run the restroom quick. All right, guys. Armando, you're okay. No, just focus on what you have. And then at this, you're distracting people around you, okay? All right. So you're working on the worksheet. If you have no homework questions, and if you do have homework questions, here we go. We're going to look at number 18. Number 18 is one of those nasty fraction ones. Let me get rid of all this stuff on the board. It looks kind of weird.
Whoa.
Don't worry, it's coming. The motion sensor lights are kind of weird.
Oh,
Yeah. Did it copy off weird? Oh, that's weird. Hold on. Oh, circle the letter of each correct answer in the boxes below. Oh, okay. So here it is. For number 1, this is a different puzzle, guys, in that you're not filling in the boxes. Instead, when you get number 1's answer, you're coming down and you're circling the letter of the answer. And when you're done and you've done the entire worksheet, you should be able to read the circled letters and it makes the message. You see it? So for number 1, for instance, did anybody solve number 1 yet?
Yeah.
X equal 2? Okay, so pause. Look down below. Where's the 2? Circle the N. He's a part of the message. Circle the N. That's all you gotta do is go down, find the N. Circle the N. He's a part of the message. But hold on, pause. I think there's only. It's the bottom row on the far right. There's the 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a B.
Now pause. Is the point the message? I mean, kind of, right? But coming back up, shouldn't you have x equals 2 right next to number 1 that's boxed? Okay. So the point is to solve the problems. I know you're trying to get the message down below, and it's a weird when you're circling the letters instead of filling it. Go careful. So I'm going to go ahead and explain up here. 18, 37, 38, 39, 40. Okay. For those of you guys that wanted number 18, he was one of those nasty fraction ones. Let me zoom out. This is way too zoomed in. All right, kiddos, here's the dealio. I know some of you are working on your worksheet, and if you need to ask a quick question quietly, make sure it's a whisper. But otherwise, I need to be able to explain what's going on for those who are asking homework questions, okay? Number 18, which is going to be on the video if you need to check it out later, is one of those nasty fractions, 1 over 27. Andrew, not a whisper, bud. Oof. For those of you guys who are peeking at me doing number 18, I see 27 and 9, and I think I'm going to have to change both sides, break both sides down to get them to be 3s. I can make 9 into 3 squared. Because 27 is 9 times 3. I can't make it like a 9 to a power of. But be careful. When I change 27, because 27 ends up being 3 cubed.
So right here.
Not a whisper and not helpful. Don't forget to make it 3 to the negative 3 because of that 1 over. Yeah, there were quite a few places you could have made mistakes on this guy. He was a big problem. Good problem, but a big one. Then you would have to distribute, right? Yeah, negative 12x and plus 3. And now I ignored my like bases. So I took my negative 12x plus 3 and my 4x minus 2, and now it's just an equation, Jerry. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But yeah, this was a hard one. Thanks for asking that as a question. And then Andrew, we are going to the 37 to 40. I know we have lots of Andrews, but the Andrew that asked the question.
Yeah.
I think the answer was, it's nasty, but I think it was 5/16 for number 18. It's nasty, but it's 5/16. I know, the air's turning on. Hang in there. It's warm. Okay, 37 to 40, those ones were the end of homework, and I think every single one, I'm going to look at all of them, So I think they just kind of got confusing to those that had questions on them in general first. What's weird about each of these is I have an extra number in front. I have a 30 in front of my base, a 12 in front of my base, a 4 in front of my base, and a 2 in front of my base. Something that people tended to want to do that was totally illegal. Oh, yeah, you can grab another box, Jay. Everest, what you doing?
Oh, I'm looking at the answer.
I think you're bugging Hannah. Focus on your paper. Thank you. Can I show you guys something real fast that's totally illegal?
Sure.
On this number 39, for instance, just as an example, if you had done 4 times 3 is 12, you were totally wrong.
Ow.
Oh, yeah, they're supposed to.
Ow.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some people that might have wanted to do 4 times 3 was 12, but as soon as you did that, you actually did some illegal PEMDAS. It wouldn't have been able to match, and you would have had the wrong answer from the very first step. So instead of putting those two together, you have to think PEMDAS. The exponents are trapping the bases, and the 4 is not allowed to go in with a 3. Instead of putting them together, you have to move them to the other side. So like for number 37, I would divide both sides by 30. And when I divide by 30, that one cancels out. I get 5 to the x plus 3 all over 5. So then, Andrew, I would go ahead and make that an understood 1 exponent. And once my bases match, I'm good to go. So the key in all of these beginning problems was... Comparing. Thank you, I appreciate it. Do you see it? Oh, sorry, x equals -2. But the key was that division first. The key was that division first. I think that would have messed you up on all 37 through 40. So let me just go down to number 40 because someone had a question on that. Was that? I forget who asked. Someone asked for number 40. Yeah. Oh, thanks. You want to divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that guy. Now this one, it's not quite as easy as the bases matching, but if I had broken down 64, I could have rewritten him as 4 cubed. And now, Andrew, once again, bases match and I'm good to go. So that key is dividing first. So anybody else that was waiting for those 37 to 40 problems that wants to ask another question? Alright guys, you are allowed to ask other people questions. If you are stuck on something on the worksheet, just make sure that you're focused and give some good work done. Hey guys, I need you to go down to numbers 13 through 14, no, 13 through 16. Time out. I figured out there are ones on this worksheet that are impossible for you guys to do by hand. Hold on, can you guys go down to number 13 real fast? I didn't read the graphing calculator. Do you guys see the graphing calculator down here below? Okay, pause and look down here in the worksheet, 13 through 16, okay? It's going to be kind of rough. But because not all of you have a graphing calculator, yeah, because you don't have a graphing calculator, this gets a lot harder because you can't solve. The bases won't be able to match. I can't make 6 into 9. So here's what you're going to have to do to finish the message. Well, graphing, but graphing's going to be way too hard. So you ready? Here's what I'm going to do.
I can't see G, L, or letter. Like bugged out.
Yeah.
Hey kiddos, can you help out everybody that you're talking to or who are talking to you? Hey guys, you need to focus because you cannot solve 13 through 16 without a graphing calculator, and that's this really big one with a big window. Andrew Swanson, pay attention. You cannot solve those problems without this. So here's the problem. I shouldn't have given you this worksheet with the graphing calculator problems. That was my bad. I didn't see them at the very, very bottom. So here's how you're going to be able to finish your message. I want you guys to write down, don't solve, because you're not going to be able to make the bases match. Don't solve by hand, but you can plug and check. What do I mean? Don't solve, but you can plug and check. Do you guys see how it says round to the nearest hundredth? What do you know about all the answers in 13, 14, 15, and 16?
None of the bases are alike.
None of the bases are alike, and all their answers are decimals, right? How many ones down below are decimals? Oh, only a few, right? Only this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So here's the dealio. You know in all these decimals, one of them, if you were to plug in to your calculator, would make this work. So if you want to try to finish your message, you don't actually have to do 13, 14, 15, and 16. I'll let you skip them entirely, but if you want to finish your message, the only way to do it is to take one of those decimals down below and plug into the X spot and check in your calculator. Does 6 to that power make 9? If it's no, then forget that decimal. If it's yes, or it's very, very close, like 8.99, then that's probably the answer to 13. So here's one more time. 13 through 16, can you solve it? No. But can you take the decimals and plug in and see if they work? The answer is yes. Okay? Can you solve it? No. But can you plug in and check? Yes. Remember, the decimals are going to go to 13, 14, 15, and 16. If you want to try to make it match to finish your message, you're going to have to test in each of them little X's and figure out which ones work. But using a calculator is going to make that a lot easier. Isaiah, thank you so much for that question, bud. Because yeah, you can't solve those. Those bases cannot match. Those bases cannot match. You guys are going to get about like 5 more minutes to work on your worksheets, and then we're going to talk about the last test that you took. Ask your group or ask the guys down there. Have you asked yet, Adrian? They might not be able to help. If not, you can ask me, but not your friend. Can they help you make the bases match? Don't tell me the answer. That doesn't help. You gotta tell me why. Oh, yeah.
Wait, you know this. Or get the 9.
If anybody else needs a calculator, especially for those ending problems, I don't mind if you go grab one.
Yeah.
Alright guys, one more minute to ask any final questions of people in your group about the worksheet. You might not be done, but are there any other problems you want to ask your group about before we talk about the test?
Can you join bands?
Alright guys, if you borrowed a calculator, go ahead and go back and put it up for me.
How about like, I'm gonna give you my name that explains, but I kind of think like when they get a little older, when I do
How you better on your, because like it's on it here, or the left, like right here.
yeah, and then but you know, or like that's what it's actually called.
Alright guys, sorry, the scores were a little bit weird, but I got them figured out. So you guys don't have to finish for homework tonight, it's the worksheet for tomorrow. But for you guys, well maybe you don't. I need one person from every group. Count how many people are in your group or at least standing around your group. Okay? I need one person to go back and there's a stack of white papers in the back. You should go get one for everyone in your group. Ready, set, go. Go get one white paper for everyone in your group. Andre? Sean?
If he charges me a lot,
Alright guys, we're going to talk tomorrow about how these corrections are going to work. We're going to have about a week to do them. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You can look at your test. You can look at it tonight. Come back tomorrow with questions. Don't leave yet, don't leave yet. Learn on your test. Caleb, go. Adrian?
We're doing test corrections?
We're not going to, Alright, everybody else go back. You guys make notes. We're going to talk about our test tomorrow. So hold on to your test. You can start looking at it tomorrow with questions. That's what you got wrong.
That's just me. I'm gonna
You don't have to solve anything tonight on your test. You can just look at it. Come tomorrow with questions. Bye, guys.
Hi, Diana. Wait, so that's on Friday? Dude.
I'll be testing. So it's like one of those homework You've been doing okay homework. It'll affect it. Right, it'll affect it. Yeah, it'll affect it. But I'm still proud of you for how you did. How you were feeling some of the days. I was like, oh, I'm not fast. Then you did.
So wait till
You want to practice it? Thank you. Good job. Hey, you're back. No? Hanging in there?
Google Classroom isn't working for me, but I just want to show you that I did it. I don't know what there's.
And you missed probably when you were grading your stuff in class. Make sure you're writing down the problem details. Does that make sense? I think I might be taking off a little bit. You're doing a good job here. But then, like, when it comes to these ones, it's okay to be stuck. Nathaniel, on the YouTube videos, you can grade them from those. Does that make sense? And then,
yeah. No, I got an 82. Bonus test.
Oh, because you got it. I mean, this one.